Hi everyone, this is two-time World Poker Tour champion Jonathan Little, and I want to tell you about my training site, PokerCoaching.com. Poker coaching is the place to be if you want to increase your poker skills and learn to crush the games. It's the only place to quickly increase your win rate with active learning, so you can achieve your full poker potential without having to hire an expensive coach. Right now, podcast listeners can score a free membership by visiting PokerCoaching.com/cardplayer and get access to top training tools like our interactive hand quizzes, our 7, 14, and 30-day challenges, and a roster of elite coaches such as Matt Affleck, James Romero, Burt DraftGanger Stevens, Michael Acevedo, and dozens of others. Again, that's PokerCoaching.com/cardplayer to get your free membership right now.
By now, you've heard about Global Poker, one of the fastest growing online card rooms available in the US and Canada today. So what's stopping you from trying it out? Global Poker is a safe and secure social poker site that uses their own patented sweepstakes model. Signing up is easy. You can use Google, Facebook, or just an email address. You can always play for free on Global Poker, but you can also buy gold coins for additional play, which will earn sweeps coins that can be redeemed for real cash to a bank account, Skrill account, or even as a gift card. Get a free 5,000 gold coins when you sign up right now at globalpoker.com.
Poker Stories is an audio series that features casual interviews with some of the game's best players and personalities. Each episode highlights a well-known figure in the poker world and dives deep into their favorite tales, both on and off the field.
Hello and welcome to Poker Stories, a podcast brought to you by Card Player, the poker authority, and hosted by me, Julio Rodriguez. This is episode number 135, featuring Ben Rolle, otherwise known simply as Bencb. In fact, for a long time, this online tournament crusher was only known as Bencb, and it wasn't until the summer of 2019 that he shared his identity with the world. Originally born in Germany and now living in Austria, the 33-year-old is considered to be one of the best online tournament players in the world today. He has won millions of dollars and numerous titles, most notably chopping the WCoop $100,000 buy-in super high roller with fellow German Fedor Holz for $1.2 million. This year he won a Super Millions event on GG Poker, as well as a WPT Online high roller title. The former soccer standout also decided to share his poker knowledge with everyone, starting the online training site Raise Your Edge. Then last summer, Rolle was named as an ambassador to PokerStars and also inked a deal to provide his Raise Your Egg strategy content to PokerStars players. Rolle streams his games on Twitch, which you can find on the Raise Your Eggs channel. And when he's not playing or working on training content, he also works on his esports club, Acend. This was a very interesting interview, and I especially liked hearing about how Ben approaches the game from a mental aspect. Whether it's preparing for a session, or dealing with variance, or even embracing the upside of stress. Anyway, that's enough intro. Here is my conversation with Ben Rolle. I am here with the one and only Ben Rolle. How you doing, Ben?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure being here. I'm looking forward.
Yeah, this is great to have you on. One of the most prolific online players out there right now. This is a show where we talk to poker players about their origin stories and how they got to where they're at. But before we get into yours, are you over there in Austria hanging out?
I'm currently in Vienna. Yes, that's correct.
So not going to the series, I take it?
No, I have too many projects in the pipeline, so I won't make it. I was planning to, but it just gets too... I could make it, but then I'll be there and I have so much stuff in my head. You know, when I go play a series, I would like to have the full mental capacity available and not after the grind, before the grind, having meetings and having to take care of stuff. Just not the ideal environment to play such an intense series.
Yeah, you are a busy man, and we will get to all of those projects in a second. I'm just wondering, do you follow the series at all?
Yeah, of course, here and there I check in, not diligently, but I do follow it a bit as a poker player, of course.
Okay, we will get into your online versus live thoughts, but let's go back to the beginning. Growing up in Germany, what was life like for you there?
It was, I would say, a rather normal life. I like typical middle class, nothing too spectacular. I would say.
What did your parents do?
My parents were and still are independent financial advisors. Or my dad and my mom was working with my dad. My mom works now with a different firm. Yeah, but that's what they have been doing ever since.
Okay, and I heard that you were big into gaming and also soccer, or I guess football.
Yeah, I started with 6 or 7. I was actually scouted at my school. Back then we had a football club in Cottbus that used to play Bundesliga. Today they're just playing in somewhere in the 4th league, so not really relevant anymore. But it's still huge. I mean, football, soccer, however you want to call it, is pretty huge in Germany. So every kid kind of gets in touch with football, and so.
But you stood out.
Sorry?
But you stood out early on.
Yeah. And so we had a football tournament at our school, just from our school, and then there were some scouts. And yeah, I got scouted and got invited for training. I was like 6 or 7 years old. Or I think I got recommended or something. That's how it started. And then I got approached and I went there, and yeah, it went well. And so I started playing. I mean, with 6, 7 years, they're just basically looking for, do you have some sort of like stable movement? Can you touch the ball and all that kind of stuff? They are not looking for like special talent or anything, right? So, and I was hooked, I remember, and I just then started playing football there until 16, 17. And then, of course, when you're 13, 14, 15, it gets quite competitive. You have a lot of trainings. And yeah, then with 16 or 17, I stopped.
Why'd you stop? Injury or just?
Yeah, I had several injuries, but I had too big of an ego. So I was essentially told I could play one more year, but with a younger team there. And I was like, no, if you don't appreciate what I can bring to the table, I won't play for this club. And I went to a local club, to like a rival club in the city, played with them for a year, but I just didn't have my shit together, and too big of an ego, and how things can go, and then I just stopped playing football.
What position did you play?
I was quite flexible. Like for most of my career, I played as a central attack player. But then the older I got, I realized that I'm. And also the coaches realized that I'm more valuable in the midfield, not central defender, but like on the, how do you call it in English? Like the position between the defense and midfield. We call it the 6th position in German, number 6. And then also on the wings, left, right, and right side. And yeah, I could shoot with both feet. That was one of my strengths as well. So I was quite versatile. So
yeah, I think I peaked at like 8 years old, and they just always had me at the sweeper position.
The what position?
Sweeper? Is that not what it's called?
Sleeper position. What is
sweeper?
Sweeper. Yeah. You it depends what system you play. You have usually 2 positions on the or 2 players on this very position sometimes. One is the sweeper and one is the more offensive orientated, that helps with the more strategical part of the game, trying to pass towards the midfielders, or even more aggressive passes towards the attackers. Depends on the situation, of course. So a bit more like an intelligent player that tries to coordinate, tries to maneuver the game in some way.
Well, that's not how I played it.
I mean, when you say sweeper, then it's probably a bit more rustical, I guess.
We kind of just used it as like the goalie's helper.
the
goalie's helper who couldn't touch the ball with his hands. That's how it was described to me at a very young age. What about any glory moments for you? Did you have any crazy games that you think back up?
As a attacker, I couple of times when you won the guy with the most scores in tournaments. But we managed to do something when we were, I think, like 13, 14, 15 years old. I don't remember. It was a qualification tournament for like a state tournament. You have the country, you have the state, or state series. But we also had our older team that was 1 year older than us participating. And usually you get your ass kicked, that usually they would always qualify. It was quite rough for us to qualify. We just took it as some sort of, just some sort of, practice playing against better older teams, so to speak, right? But we're still able to participate. The way it works in Germany, I don't know how it works in the States, is you start with letters. You usually start with the E juniors or F juniors or Bambinis, who's like 6 and younger. Then you have F juniors, which is probably 6 to 7, age of 6 to 7. Then you have the E, it's like 8, 9, 10. Then you have D, and goes up to A. A is then 16, 17, 18, around that age. And then above 8, A is the amateurs. That's usually the second highest team in the club, and then above that's the pros, right? The grown-ups. So this is usually how it works. And for every letter, you have then it's subdivided into two teams. So for example, back then I think we were C juniors or D, I don't know, and you have D1 and D2. And D2 is the younger, D1s are the older ones.
Okay, so for us in the States, it would be like varsity and junior varsity.
Kinda, yeah. And so we had the older team participating there as well, the D1, we were the D2, and also from all the other rival teams around the city were participating as well. And yeah, we actually managed to beat our big boys, so to speak, and we actually end up qualifying, which was a huge and I don't think it ever happened in the club. We also managed to win the state series 3 times in a row, which was unprecedented in our club. And it's when you play in these stages, it's mostly like on a state level, right? And some that was like the most prestigious tournaments. I had one game where I scored 6 goals. I think it was a very remarkable game. So these are the moments that stick to my head.
I mean, that's what I would have led with. That's a crazy one.
Yeah, but to be honest, like back then, since Energie Cottbus was quite a dominant club in our region, and we would play against neighbor cities, but our use was already so professional that sometimes we would win 10-0, 12-0. We would basically win the entire series, not losing one single game. And at some point, they changed the system a little bit where they put us into older leagues. So we would be the C juniors, but we would compete against B juniors, So that's because they realized we're not really learning. We're just stomping all the teams. But this happened on all levels, all ages within our club, that there was nothing really to achieve. It was just like basically our main goal was to not like it was already for us a loss if the enemy team would score a goal.
Yeah.
Right. So
perfectionist about it.
You're not really getting better, and it's quite bad for the entire club if the youth players are not really challenged. Right. And then they get to the A juniors and amateurs, and they have only been competing with these crap teams for the most part. During the summer breaks and winter breaks, we would go to statewide tournaments. We would play against also international teams, Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund. We would compete on this level, but then we would get our ass kicked. Because we wouldn't be used to to that level, to the roughness and also the the intelligence they play with. And so they probably realized, okay, we need to do something. So then they started or they changed it to a system where we started playing against older teams, and that was of course quite. But then the older you grow, you also play against more statewide teams, if that makes sense. So then it also has gotten a little bit more competitive, especially senior and above. It's where it gets also quite challenging. But before that, the series games, or the seasonal games, it was just literally not trying to the enemy team to score a goal. That was not really challenging.
Well, it sounds like it was at least very regimented in that it drilled into you a sense of routine.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm just saying, as far as to get to that level, you have to dedicate yourself to a practice, to a routine of doing the right things, and I'm sure that helps out when it comes to your poker career to have that background of discipline.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you had 2, 3, 4 times practice a week. It depends which age. You had match days also during the summer break. If as a normal pupil, you would have 6 weeks of summer break. For us, it was mostly 2 to 3 weeks until you started having practices again or boot camps. And even during this time off, if you wanted to stay relevant in the team, you would go for runs, to stay in shape and not chill for 2-3 weeks and then get back into training, because especially summer preparation, it's quite rough, and the coaches could see who was putting in the extra effort and who would be lazy lying in the on the sunbed and just chilling all the time. So yeah, it was for sure quite, and that definitely helped me also in my career in poker. That discipline is not something I struggle with, I would say.
So your football career ends and you go to college. What was the plan there?
I went first. I had a civil year. I was like, you had 1 year of army or a civil year. It's mandatory back then. I don't think it's mandatory anymore. I think they're debating it right now because of the Ukraine war to bring it back in Germany. I'm not really sure how that goes, though. I decided for the civil service. I didn't want to go anywhere else. I wanted to also, that's where I started with my poker career. And I realized, right, if I go, I started playing poker. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really call it a career yet. And
I want to hear that story too about how you discovered poker. But
yeah. And college, probably around the age of like 20, 21, I would say. Like after my civil service, I went to college. Yeah.
Okay. What did your civil service entail for those of us who don't understand?
It's usually it's kind of like helping elderly people, working in a hospital, working in a local park, and maintaining the usually just maintenance services, all kinds of like assisting society in some way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Community.
So these could be some sort of community, or driving around, delivering food to elderly people, or driving around disabled people, elderly people the entire day. So these kind of works.
Okay, so what was your plan at university?
I would say I haven't really had a plan, to be honest. Because there were so many options and I didn't really know what to choose from. I think that's what everyone struggles with, right? You have so many universities you can choose from. At least in Germany, it's easier. I know in the States, going to college is also quite expensive, right? So it's definitely harder in terms of the financial investment than it is in Germany, where it's subsidized. It's kind of like free. You have some fees you have to pay, but essentially it's free. And so you can choose from so many options, and it's like, oh my God, the next 3 years I need to do this. So you need to make a very smart decision. And I was like, I don't know. In the end, I just chose business administration, which most people choose. It's the kind of like, We have a meme in Germany when you don't know what to study, you study business administration.
Okay. In the States, I think it's communications.
Yeah. So when you say that, most common response would be, "Oh, so you didn't know what to study," and it's like, but to be honest, I wasn't like this for me. I knew, okay, it could serve me. I would like to start my own business at some point, and it could definitely serve me a certain purpose.
And all this time you're in college, I'm assuming you're playing poker?
Yeah.
So how did you first discover the game? Who put it in front of you?
Just games at school, with friends, penny games. I think it's it's like typical, like most people that are probably also listening to your podcast that have discovered poker. And then also I've been seeing it on TV, and that's how I got into it.
Okay. Did you find you were good right away, or did it take a while?
I think actually I realized I was quite good, just in terms of instincts, and most of the time I won the games we were playing. But to be honest, like maybe I was just lucky. It's like, I mean, what is the sample size? Maybe you had a few hundred games with your home games or games with your friends over like several years. So my intuition was, okay, I like this game. I really, but to be honest, there's quite a gap between I discovered the game, I played it for fun, and until I started a little more serious. Even though I started online, I didn't follow any strategic advice. I didn't listen to my friends who told me to do so, and I also went broke 3 times because my ego was in my way.
Oh, okay. So you treated it as a fun hobby for a while before you buckled down and got serious.
No, even though I wanted to take it more serious, like, okay, I want to try to make some money, but I thought, I beat all my friends. I don't need strategic advice or something. It's like I was quite stubborn.
Got it. So what was the turning point?
To be honest, a vacation on Sicily in Italy. It's like an island in Sicily. In Italy. Not Sicily. It's not Sicily. Sardinia. Sorry. I was in Sardinia. A vacation with 9, 10 best buddies. We booked a huge house. Absolute bang of a vacation. And most of them were already poker pros. And I realized the freedom they had. I was a broke student. I had to look at I wasn't that broke because the the service is paid quite well. And you had to look at every penny that you spend, And it's not that they were throwing around with money, but they just, if you want to go for dinner, they go for it. If they wanted to buy a Coke, that is maybe €2, and I had to look for the 70-cent fake Coke can because the €2 a Coke is a little bit too expensive. You have your budget for the vacation, and you have to look that you're not pushing it too far. And I kind of admired this kind of like careless. I wasn't admired, and none of them were living the fancy lifestyle. Like arriving there with a fancy car, or a yacht or anything. That it wasn't like this. It was really just I could see. They just can spend the vacation, no worries. All right, if they spend $100 more, it's fine. It's they don't need to worry. And I really admired this. And this is where I realized, okay, this is actually I should take it more serious. Of course, we talked a little bit more about poker, and that's where I also then treated it way more serious.
Yeah, you saw this is doable. This is if I really take this seriously, this could be my future.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so what about a score that kind of turned the tables for you?
Sorry, what?
Was there one particular score that you hit that kind of got you off and running?
No, because I started with sit and goes, so you don't really have scores. I mean, I just for the first years I just played sit and goes.
Slow grind.
It's the slow grind, yeah. And I'm happy to do that because. And I think everyone that is listening right now should, if you want to skip because maybe I'm boring you too much with my life story. Wait another 1 minute and then you can skip. But I think I would actually advise everyone maybe to, if you really get into poker, to start with cash games or sit and goes. Where you start learn the game slow, because if you have a big score, and I've had over the last 10 years by now hundreds of students, and I think so far I met one guy who's now also a poker pro, who's a high stakes pro as well. Everyone else failed at that. You can literally say 99 out of 100 fail in that. When you play tournaments and you have a big score early on, bad, very bad for your mental. And I understand that. I don't even blame them. It's so difficult to put that into perspective. You don't have the knowledge, you don't have the understanding of variance, you don't have the experience to put this into perspective. Just imagine you start out with your $50 bankroll and you win a tournament for $1,500. It just skews your reality. It makes you think you're better than you are, and most players can't handle that, and they end up losing this. They start playing out. It's like, oh, that's easier than I thought. I'm actually much better than I thought I would be. Let's play $10 tournaments, $20 tournaments, and they end up losing it all. And then also the problem is it sticks for way too long. So even they start losing, and it's like, but I won at the beginning, right? So they have this confirmation that they are good in their minds, but they're not. And they think, okay, I just need this one more score. And this is also where I would say the early stages of a gamble addiction, right? Similar to someone goes into casino, gambles their money away. All they think of is their winning moments, right? They think, I can win it back, because they have these moments of proof. And so it's very difficult for a lot of players to handle big success. That's why maybe grind smaller field tournaments where you won't have these huge scores. I don't think it's good for their career. And most players that I know that are very good in these days today actually had rather problems at the beginning than starting off well. And I think it's just, so if you just started out and you struggle, I know it's not the most motivating, but it's very good for your career in terms of your mental.
Yeah, you'd rather take those kicks when you're starting out in the lower stakes anyway than in the high stakes games when you can handle it. So okay, so you're grinding up your bankroll, winning at most 4 to 5 buy-ins per sit and go.
Mm-hmm.
And doing it the right way. How long did it take before you were playing the highest stakes around?
I think it took me 2.5 years until I started playing $100 sit and goes. So you can see, and I was still in my college. I was still doing all my exams. I took my college very serious, and then maybe another year until I played the highest $5,000 singles on PokerStars. I also Black Friday hit me, cost me by bankroll. So I didn't have to start from scratch because I still had the knowledge, but of course it was a big hit in my bankroll. So I had to continue on PokerStars.
And you were trying to get your master's as well?
I finished my bachelor degree. I started my master's, but I realized it's just a waste of time. I don't want to study.
You were deep into poker at that point.
I already started Raise Your Edge as well, and that's why I moved to the UK then.
Okay, got it. So let's talk a little bit about Raise Your Edge, because not everybody who is winning at the highest levels feels the need to share their strategies with others. What was your motivation?
I mean, I was playing already for how long?
You started Raise Your Edge in 2016?
Yeah, 2014, and then 2016 when we released a term masterclass. That was the big blow. That's where it really it spread quite fast. People were recommending it to their friends, and I didn't even expect that. It's like, all right, I was dreaming of such a course for quite some time. I don't think there was so much structured tournament here and there. There might have been a course existing, but I felt it was lacking a lot of fundamentals, was lacking a lot of important concepts that I wanted to cover. And yeah, and I think people perceived it as a very valuable course, and it made the rounds really quickly. And that's how we also started becoming more and more popular. My main motivation was, again, I already played for quite some years, and I always enjoyed getting into business. So I just wanted to learn more about business, and saw a good opportunity to combine my hobby with business, and starting this endeavor. And what I realized, of course, is when people say, well, if you're so successful, when you make all this money, why would you share that? And I totally get it. I think there's still a lot of coaches, training sites out there who I also play against, and I know there's like a lot of, let's call it, fake gurus in the age of social media and online, and everybody can start a business. So I understand that. Even people tell me, you're just doing it because you're not beating the games. You just want to make some. I understand that. I'm not even mad, because unfortunately that's how it is, But I can also tell people that if you do something for 5-6 years playing poker, that you would like to try something else, And I met also a lot of poker players after several years. I don't want to say you get burned out, but if you don't have the right balance, it can get quite rough and quite.
Right. You need something else to pour energy into.
Yeah, and I was like, I really enjoyed building this community around Raise Your Edge, and that's where I decided, hey, you know what? I really would like to give this a try and build a community around it and help people to improve their poker game. And that's basically the main motivation behind that. I was simply not happy to just play poker. I couldn't imagine playing poker for the rest of my lives. And I thought, I want to create a course. I want to build a community. All right, let's start a business out of it. And that's literally the motivation behind it.
Well, that business has obviously worked out great for you. You were signed by PokerStars, and so was Raise Your Edge. How does that relationship work?
So with Raise Your Edge, we're in charge for the content creation for PokerStars Learn. That's their website. They approached us, and that's also a confirmation of the great work we do at Raise Your Edge, that they wanted us to be the content producer for their PokerStars Learn website or platform where they provide easy beginner-related content for their students, for their customers. And it's my ambassador deal with PokerStars is separate from that deal. So it's like, all right, they approached me. We would like to get you as an ambassador, but also we would like to partner up with Raise Your Edge. So it's not like a package deal. And my ambassador deal with PokerStars, my main motivation behind that is, of course, all the money that I get from it, right? What I wanted to see is, and if you follow me for the last couple of years, I've always tried to start initiatives and came up with ideas also behind closed doors. I approach like Party Poker. I talk to people from Natural 8 or GG. They're both the same, almost essentially. Talk to people from Stars, and there were so many obstacles. Like, yeah, Ben, we can't share with you stuff. You're not part of the company. We don't have NDAs in place, and I didn't want to sign any kind of dodgy papers and commit myself to something that I want to commit to. And I kind of felt very slow, and now I couldn't really make an impact or get access to stuff to understand the industry better, to help grow the game. And so once I talked to PokerStars, I had a couple of terms in terms of how I envision this deal. One of the deals, if you follow my streams, is that I can still play on other sites. If I have deep runs on other sites, I can also show it on the stream so that my audience, my community is not missing out on big action that might be important to showcase on the stream. So, and that's what I said, that would be the only conditions, the only terms I can imagine working it with. And I mean, I've always been it from the very beginning of PokerStars, and even before the deal, I said, listen, I see PokerStars as the biggest poker site, also with the best reputation, in my opinion. There's a lot of things that are not going so well on GG, in my opinion, and I think that PokerStars does a lot of things better in terms of growing the game, but. I mean, you have to give respect to GG as well. Like, I don't want to talk shit about them just because I'm with Stars, but I think they're very bossy in terms of their marketing strategy. I think it deserves respect because over the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, how many sites have tried to close the gap to PokerStars, and all of them have failed. And GG managed to close the gap, or even in terms of the numbers now, trumped PokerStars in some ways. So it's definitely something also to learn from. And I really hope that also PokerStars learns from what GG is doing, that they are very innovative, that they try out new things, and there's something that needs the game. I just would like to see this more poker sites in general incorporating. At the end of the day, we're all in this together, and it requires also a bit more cooperation, especially, and this has been recently one of the hottest topics, the cheating scandals around players, where we definitely
that's what I was about to bring up.
We definitely need a blacklist, and this requires poker sites working together.
Right. So we're in a situation where, GG found a bunch of players using RTAs or colluding or a bunch of other accusations, and they banned those players, but they didn't let us know who they were. And the debate going on is, should they? Should they share that information with other outlets, and would those sites and other venues and tours even be able to do anything about it if they knew? So we're in a situation where some people are maybe not trusting online poker as much as they did a few years ago. What do you have to say about the state of online poker and where you see it going?
It's tough to say. I think it has been growing over the last couple of years, but I think we're not really utilizing everything it has to offer. So what I struggle with is, if I compare it with all sorts of sports out there, if you're interested, what sport are you interested in?
I watch a lot of NBA basketball.
NBA basketball, right? Who's your favorite team?
The Miami Heat.
Miami Heat. So if let's say I travel to the States, and I was like, hey, what's happening with basketball, baseball, whatever it is. And you want to see what the scene is about, who are the best teams. You have official rankings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can look it up. It's very transparent. With poker, my problem is, by now, we still don't have official rankings who are the best players.
Interesting.
I don't care about all-time money lists, because the guy who is at 98th could be the best player in the world because he has the highest ROI.
Right.
The guy on 74th could be the best players because he actually has the most profits. What we have right now is guy number 1 just has the highest revenue, right? Just that's it. Most cashes. Doesn't say anything about his profits, his ROI, which are the key metrics to determine a successful poker player. And I think in a sport like this that has been professionalized or tried to be professionalized, I think people really love digging into some stats, metrics, identifying, we can't really, a sport can only work with a fan culture. A fan culture can only emerge if fans have the chance to identify themselves with certain players and also dig into stats, see what rank is he, how much did he ascend to previous season. Like, it doesn't exist. There's literally no fan culture around poker.
You're right, right. There used to be leaderboards. There used to be leaderboards on certain sites.
Even the leaderboards are dog shit because it's just who has the most points, and the most points are based on who has collect the most points by having most ITM finishes, or in general the best rankings, and you achieve that. I can fire 10 bullets in a tournament just to get in the money, just to get those 10 points, but I've lost 50K. Is this really a metric of a successful poker player? And then at the end, you could literally be top 5 in the leaderboard, or top 10, maybe not top 5, but top 10, and you've just fired so many bullets to get there, and you might have ended up a break-even series, or maybe slightly up. But that guy that is 104th in the leaderboard hasn't fired so many bullets, might have a higher ROI, and it might have had more winnings. It doesn't sound right to me. How the whole thing has worked out, or it's not working out at all, and I think there are also easy solutions to that, but I feel like that's also part of the problem, where poker sites don't want to cooperate with each other, and it is kind of required for that.
Well, it's interesting. Obviously we don't have access to the amount of buy-ins people put up. We just don't know when someone doesn't cash a tournament. We can only count their actual in the money finishes.
Well, it requires incentives. That would be the easy solution.
Right. You'd have to have players opt in for some sort of a piece of the pie, exactly, as it were, that would be created by this interest. But you yourself, your results are hidden online, aren't they? So is there some sort of appeal in the anonymity of online poker? Or I mean, in your case, there's not much anonymity anymore, but at least the numbers being hidden from view?
I mean, for me personally, and if some of you might still know me from back the days, a couple of years ago when I was completely anonymous, I still value a bit of my privacy. I just don't really find this appealing when people know how much money I made out of online poker. Family, friends. It's like if you open up your page, just imagine that all your friends know how much you make a month. And again, some people it's like, I don't care about this. Fine, I respect that. It's just I value still a bit of my privacy. I don't have to reveal that. I don't have an incentive to reveal that. People say, well, Ben, I don't want to buy your course because I think you're a losing player, and I don't want to purchase your courses. I was like, all right, fine. I don't need to convince anyone, and I don't want to convince anyone. I'm not going to even argue with anyone. Someone says you should reveal that, otherwise I'm not going to sign up with Raise Edge. It's like, then go sign up with Upswing Poker. I'm totally, if you're happy, I'm happy for you. It's just, I don't have to run after these people. I prefer showing what I'm able of and the way I teach in my YouTube videos, on my streams. I review my entire game. I have plenty of deep runs. I show how I cope with downswings. I want to embody the consistency of a poker player, and not just by revealing some stats. Here and there, I show over several months how much I made, how much I have lost, to show, the variance of the game, what is possible. But apart from that, I just don't see any value in revealing that. Like literally no upsides and more downsides.
Yeah, anybody who thinks you're a losing player hasn't been paying attention. I mean, there are still results that come in that we'll see you taking down massive scores in big tournaments, obviously, even though we can't look it up on a list. Let's talk about online poker, though, in general versus live.
But I wanted to maybe, because blaming and complaining is easy. What I think it requires is just have an official ranking where people have to opt in, and then we use either overall profits or ROI as metric in order to determine the best players. And then you could throw in an additional prize pool, right? It's like the first player gets 50K, 100K, or whatever, and you can make seasons out of it, and you only count specific tournaments from specific sites, the majors on PokerStars, the majors on GG, or even just PokerStars itself could run their own series, right? You could, not just series, but throughout the entire year, that you have a yearly leaderboard where people can opt into, and those who decide I still don't want to opt in and to reveal my stats, then that's fine. And the thing is also that I find this, because I'm not playing that much anymore. I'm only playing Sundays and the series. So like Scoop, W Coop, etc. But then a guy like me who doesn't play a lot, because I would never have a chance to win a scoop leaderboard, because it's about volume. It's about who plays the most.
Right.
If you play a lot, you also have a chance to collect many points by good finishes in every single tournament. But then I could also have a chance, because even if you don't play that much, you could still accrue a lot of winnings, or you can still have a very good win rate, right? And I find and most poker players are very competitive, and I think it also tackles their ego a little bit and maybe sparks the fire where say, all right, I want to compete in that. I'm going to opt in for that leaderboard. But then you have to reveal everything, right? And I think that would be a first step. You could make some shows around broadcasts, some interviews, some pre-show, post-show, whatever on stream, like PokerStars broadcast the Sunday Million. You can broadcast some tournaments, have the ranking on the site available and updated. That's I think where you have a first start of building a fan culture. Because the problem I see also is if you look at Twitch over the last, 5 years, the numbers are not growing. We had the pandemic, people being at home. Twitch poker, I don't really see has, in terms of the numbers long term, hasn't really benefited from it. Maybe we had a short term spike, but apart from that, look at this Twitch numbers, man. It has decreased over the last 2 or 3 years. And I don't know any category on Twitch that plays for so much money. We have streamers that play for tens, 50, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in some of these tournaments. Yet, we get so little views. I think Lex has also decreased every poker streamer has decreased in views. Twitch poker in general has decreased. How? That's I don't get it. It's just because, we don't have really this fan culture, in my opinion. But if everyone is doing their own thing, it's also really hard to build a fan culture in poker.
Right. I love this idea for the opt-in. It's almost like it's its own league within the tournament series. You could do this live. You could do this in mini series. You could do this in online across sites.
You could have nationwide tournaments.
Yeah. You could have
nation cups.
Grouping people by whatever. It's just the league within the league, basically.
Yeah.
I like that idea a lot. It's almost kind of works like a side bet, lasts longer. Just over the course of the long term. Interesting idea. Let's talk about your affinity for online versus live. You don't play a lot of live poker.
Yeah.
Too boring. There was the German revolution of high roller players that came through. Were you tempted at all to get in there and battle live? It's never been your thing, huh?
I mean, I think it's and some people might grill me for that, but I think live is significantly weaker. And if you look some of the German, a lot of the live players from back then, not so many are around anymore. And I could see that they really struggle online. Just live, it's so much softer compared to online. An online 10K is really, really tough compared to a live 10K. A live 10K is, I don't know, maybe an online 1K $500 tournament. It doesn't really, I don't really see the opportunity to learn a lot apart from the whole story around tells, giving live tells, hiding tells. I see it more as an opportunity for improving my mental game in terms of paying attention to my tells. But I played several times live. I played the EPT Barcelona 2 or 3 years ago, 3 years ago. It's actually quite some time ago, maybe even 4 years. I played 2 times in Vegas, the WSOP. And unless it's a very, very big buy-in and a lot of pressure at stake, but that's mostly not the case, I don't really have a problem in that environment. Because it's not so much pressure, at least for me. So it really needs to be a specific stage. And I think if we run deep into a tournament and then, we pull up a big bluff, or maybe go for a thin value bet or whatever, or we have a bluff catch. I mean, bluff catcher doesn't really matter. Again, this is just for me, right? I don't really see the challenge in terms of growing myself. I also want to be in situations where I learn, where I can grow. And I see around my businesses right now that there's just so many opportunities, moments, situations where I can learn about business, raising money, business meetings, negotiations, working with my team, learning more about leadership, leading a team, content creation, marketing, social media. It's like there's so much to learn. I'm so much at the beginning of my career there that it's not worth the trade-off to travel somewhere just to play a few tournaments, just to make some bucks. Luckily, I'm also in a financially stable situation that I don't need to run after every single plus EV tournament, also online.
Right.
5 years ago, skipping a Sunday would have been horrible. Skipping a scoop would have been horrible for your yearly EV. Now it's like, well, you skip scoop, and the months later, there's already another series around the corner that is super valuable.
Right. So you're just prioritizing that work-life balance, right?
Yeah. I mean, work-life balance. I'm not.
Or work balance.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. It's just work-life balance for me doesn't really exist. I think you just have moments where you're more dedicated towards work and you're going to be more stressed and maybe also on the verge to burn out. And then you're going to have moments where it's more chilled. But on the day-to-day basis, I think trying to find, I just have these days as I know today I'm going to be working 13 hours. I'm going to put in the work. It's going to be busy, whatever. So be it. I accept it. And then I don't have any problems. The next day, maybe I take a bit slower. So it's like I'm just trying to plan a little bit ahead, be very mindful about what this day is about to be. So sometimes I just sign the deal or I just sign the contract with the evil that I know today is going to be a hell of a day and I just got to accept it. I'm not trying to fight that. And then it's all right, just these days exist. And I think most people bring way too much friction and pressure and stress into their days by knowing that they're going to have a stressful day or stressful week. And then, oh my God, but I need to pay attention to my work-life balance. And I need to still find time to meditate. I still need to find time to cook a meal or to spend time with this. Oh, just sometimes I also go to my girlfriend, listen, it's going to be a super busy week. I'm really sorry that I won't be so attentive, or I won't have so much time for you. And I'm also, it's like maybe do a workout less and maybe meditate a little bit less and read less books, and I'm just accepting it's going to be a busy week. And then, okay, what can I do next week to maybe recover a little bit? Just right. Sometimes people are chasing too many things at once. And I truly believe in this saying, what you resist will persist. And if you resist that it's going to be a busy week by trying to put add too much stuff, too many other things that will balance it out where you actually don't have time to, just accept it, man. Like our bodies can be quite tough. Our minds are quite resilient. We can go through a couple of days or even weeks of very, very stressful day. And I think actually the stress then occurs by people trying to resist it. But I get busy, but I make it less busy by, going to more yoga sessions, going for runs, doing this, doing that. And then I have my work-life balance. And then actually just creates way more pressure and way more stress. So by just accepting that sometimes we have shit phases, we have busy phases, I think that actually brings the balance in it.
Yeah, that don't stress about
even stress about it. It's fine. I was like, all right, it's gonna be a busy week. I'm gonna be stressed. Fine. I was stressed about it. It's okay. Like, where's the problem? Like, it has scientifically proven that short-term stress it can also be positive. And I just feel like people in these days like, oh, stress. No. And actually that creates bad stress, negative stress.
Well, perfect. Okay, there you go. There you have it. You guys allow the emotion and allow yourself to get overwhelmed if you need it. No big deal.
Let me share maybe also a typical example I have with a lot of my students that come to me and say, Ben, I'm so competitive. I'm stressing out. Like, I'm so hard on myself if I do mistakes. I'm also very strict with my bankroll management and I freak out. And then they come with that to me, and I ask them, and so what? Where's the problem? And they ask me, wait, what do you mean? But that's bad. Like, I'm stressing out about this. And yeah, but I tell them, but where's the problem? What kind of problems does it create? And they actually, first, they're of course very confused, right? Because they come to me in their minds that they think I'm going to be fixing their problems. And when I talk to them and I ask them, okay, where's the problem? They actually don't really have an answer. So now imagine you think there's something wrong, but you can't even name the problem. And then I tell them, okay, maybe it's just a matter of perspective. And I'm also telling them, listen, maybe it's really bad. Maybe you really need to fix this and tackle this. But the way it sounds to me, I think you just have the wrong perspective. How many millions of people out there would like to have your discipline when it comes to bankroll management? How many people would love to have your discipline when it comes to being so hard on yourself about your mistakes? Why don't you just talk to yourself and say, oh, there's my inner voice again, being hard on myself and judging myself for my mistakes. It's all right, it's good. And see that as an upside, that you will study harder, you will grow, you will learn. Everything is just a trade-off. You will never find the perfect balance, the perfect mix of being, if you're competitive, you will be hard on yourself, period. I don't know a single competitive player who's not hard on themselves. For a minority of these people, it gets too far where it actually compromises their results or the entire journey. But for majority, 95%, it's nothing bad. There's no problem in that. It's all right. That's just how we are. I'm also competitive. I'm also quite hard on myself. And all I do is I tell myself, there's the competitive Ben again. But it's okay. The competitive Ben has led me to here, financial freedom, discipline, and all these upsides. And very often, people at the beginning of their career don't understand that actually they should value that. They should appreciate that. Now, see it from that perspective, and I ask them again, where's the problem? You know where I'm going? So it's like, just by accepting it, very often there are no problems. It's just you make up these problems, and you're not able to change the perspective and appreciate and value these things about yourself. I mean, we can still talk about it. So maybe we can reduce a little bit in certain moments, but the grand scheme of things, there's nothing wrong.
Interesting. I was watching a video you just released on the Raise Your Edge YouTube channel with your work with mind game coach Elliot Rowe.
Yeah.
And I'm very familiar with Elliot Rowe and just a general idea of preparing your mind before a session in general. But even I was surprised by some of the exercises and concepts you two were talking about. And just not only that, you mentioned the idea of the perfect poker player and being this sort of grind machine that just lets the game come to him and takes advantage of the best spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, just it's real fascinating stuff to see what it takes at the top levels to get ready. Even because most people listening to this podcast are not putting in that sort of mind work before a session.
I mean, it's not only beneficial for poker. So I would always recommend working. I mean, with Elliot, it's of course way easier to improve if you have someone who's so experienced and knowledgeable when it comes to mindset and I also really don't like the term improving mindset. Is also something I explain in my mindset course with Raise Your Edge, is because we have everything within. And if you that's also exactly where what I just shared, the story of students coming to me and talking exactly about that problem being so hard and being so tough to themselves, and then they carry this problem with them around for the next couple of days. They can't study, they worry, then they get it goes further. The problem is not, of course, them. Oh, Ben, I'm so hard on myself. It's like, no, I made this mistake on Sunday. I take it with myself for the next couple of days. I carry it around mentally. I can't cope with it. And then I can't study and I overcomplicate things, and then they also end up tilting the sessions, right? But because then it's some sort of self-fulfilling prophecy. How do you say that?
Prophecy. You nailed it.
Prophecy. Yeah, sorry. Where just I'm gonna end up making mistakes anyway, and just it's, as I said, it's not really a problem. It's just a matter of perspective. Anyway, what I was trying to say is that improving or fixing your stuff, I'm not a big fan of this. I think this will already cause to a lot of problems when you come from that perspective. And there's also a lot of money being made telling you that you need to improve your your life, you need to improve your mindset, because it's a very generic term, right? Like technically, if you just meditate for 5 minutes, you already improved, right? Whatever you do for a minute or 5 minutes, it's improvement. It's super small. You probably won't recognize it. So it's not tangible, it's not palpable, it's not measurable, and this is very difficult. Also, it's not that you need to add something, it's just you have everything with you have everything within. It just there's layers of bullshit, crap, distraction on top of it, and you just can't see it yet. And what we need to do is to just break these layers of crap, of horse shit, of bullshit, and then get to the core, because we're all born with everything that we need in life. And just at some point, some of us took a different direction, met the wrong people, had the wrong influence, watched the wrong stuff, consumed horse shit for too long, and that just caused us to, putting too many layers on top of what we actually need, whether it's the discipline, whether it's the consistency, whether it's a clear mind, whether it's diligent, whatever it is, whatever you are seeking for, happiness, joy, fulfillment, whatever it is, it just covered with a lot of crap. And a guy like, and also for me personally, it was also a lot of unresolved old emotions, old experience, drama that I have not resolved yet. And by being able to work with someone and going through that and bringing up old emotions, being okay, accepting them, being understanding how to deal with that. Again, it's not that I needed to improve on something. I just needed a different perspective and being able to manage it. It just also, when people say, oh yeah, you need to get rid of your ego. No, you never need to get rid of your ego. Actually, also ego can be a good thing, especially when you're competitive. A healthy ego is good. It's just you need to change your relationship to it. You need to be able to manage your ego. Sometimes your ego will win, and sometimes, your ego, you will win. And this is more the kind of perspective. Again, this is very basic stuff. This is just going into the whole journey of whatever it is, whether you want to improve your mindset, you want to lose weight, whatever it is. And very often we have mental things holding us back, right? It's never really on a physical level. It's just some sort of mental blockage, obstacle that keeps us, like we try to lose weight, and after 2 weeks, then we start eating cookies again, and we gain all the weight back. And what is it there? What is it that causes us this kind of mental blockages, that we fall back into old habits, even though we had such a good start, right? And especially if the honeymoon phase is over, then we're back at it again. And this is something I've also learned over the last couple of years, that if you start a journey from the wrong, misleading, false start, so to speak, then it's guaranteed to fail. Like it's very much guaranteed to fail. Yeah. And just understanding that you have everything within, it's just a matter of, all right, how can we get there to discover it? It's more like discovering your traits that you're looking for, the positive habits that you try to implement, instead of trying to improve on something, trying to fix nothing needs to be fixed, man. And that's just something that has significantly improved a lot of the things in my life. And I think I'm someone, I've built a lot of very good routines that a lot of players or people in general struggle with, whether it's I meditate daily, I work out 4 or 5 times a week. Of course, also with my career sports, it's of course it has facilitated my journey as well. Don't get me wrong, but also, I've been hyperactive. Like I always love action. Like I have a hard time when things are going slow. So meditating for me was a huge thing. It took me very long, but now it's super easy for me. Yeah, I hated reading. Now I read 1, 2, 3 books a month. And I've also implemented so many habits in my life where I really, really struggled with. And by just understanding, all right, nothing is wrong with me. It's normal. It's okay. It's cool. Like, again, change of perspective, not seeing it as a problem. It's just who I am, and trying to managing my emotions, my ego better, and just discovering, okay, where is it? What do I need to let go of? What do I need to say no to? Instead of just adding another layer of horse shit, kind of like, again, this is a bit more philosophical, a bit more generic. I mean, we don't have much time yet. I would love to go more into detail, and like, you can talk about so many examples. And I hope the example I brought up earlier with my students, when we talk about these, gives you a bit of insights what it means, changing your perspective, and very often that it's not necessarily a problem.
Oh, that's fascinating stuff. We do have some rapid fire questions to close it out here, if you're ready.
Sure.
Okay. What was your worst job before poker? Did you have any
cashier
jobs?
Cashier in the supermarket. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, what was so bad about that?
First, the kind of people, my boss, my colleagues, it was a very toxic, it's just a traditional 9-to-5 work environment. Then also not necessarily the most motivated, exciting colleagues to work with. It was just the whole, and then it's you sit a cashier, you scan those items for like 6-7 hours. You have to put the goods in the shelves, just a very tedious work to do and very monotone. And after several weeks, I was like, okay, I'm going to go nuts here if you continue. Also, it really gave me motivation for my poker career, because I realized, all right, I don't want to work in this environment. I need to make it work with poker. If I do this for multiple years, you probably might find me somewhere in a self-isolated room in a clinic.
Right. Get them committed. Okay, so let's say money were no object. There would be no need to earn money and effectively killing poker. What would you be doing?
Probably something similar, helping people, whether it is in poker or other sports, some sort of consulting, maybe even something like some sort of charity around the world, having projects. I really love coaching teams, coaching people, working for a team, coaching them, or consulting teams. Yeah, and that kind of, so very similar to what I do already.
What was the biggest pot you ever won or lost? It could be cash or equity in a tournament.
Probably equity on the 100K final table. I sucked out with ace queen against ace king. We were 3 left. We were already in the money. It was four paid, I think. But then of course 3, and then I chopped with Fedor heads up, and I sucked out ace queen versus ace king 3, and it was almost a cooler, you can say. And
worth a lot of money.
But it was, of course, probably several 6-digit suck out. Yeah.
What was your largest non-poker wager?
Wager? What do you mean?
Do you bet anything other than poker?
No.
Never any prop bets?
No. Like we play Comunio for, let's say, a football manager game in Germany where entry fee is 50 euros with a group of 8 guys, but I've never won it anyway, so.
He doesn't gamble, guys. All right. Would you rather time travel to the future or the past?
To the past.
Yeah, the future. Who knows what it's going to look like?
Yeah.
If you could download one skill instantly, like in the Matrix, what would you choose?
Reading people's mind.
Could he do that? That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing for poker.
Yeah. I was actually not thinking so much about poker, but I just sometimes, and I wouldn't be using it that much, especially not for like friends or family. I think that would be scary. I think it would also harm your relationships a lot.
Oh, for sure.
Right. But just for new people that you just met that have very bad intentions, more like for self-protection.
Do you listen to music while you play?
Yeah. On Sunday, we had a blast. We listened to all sorts of hype music, Scooter, Rammstein, techno music. I don't know. We somehow got into that with the chat. Usually, but more chilled. Hip hop, black music, R&B, some slow house music. yeah, that sort of music.
Do you find that it changes how you play? Like if the music's
No.
too fast?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
If you could, I don't know if you guys this even applies to you. If you could pick the entertainment for the Super Bowl halftime show, what would you choose?
Sorry, can you say again?
So every year, like a huge musical act performs at the NFL Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Here in the States. And if you could choose who that act is, who would you choose?
I'm not really into football, but I would probably give it to. That's a tough one. I don't really have a favorite artist or favorite music group as of now. Like I don't know.
No particular acts, huh? No big deal.
Do you want to know a name of a group or a specific song?
It would just be the group, but it's up to you.
All right, let's take Scooter. I think that would be fun.
Scooter.
Scooter, you know Scooter?
No, I do not. Is this a German band?
Yeah, it's like some German techno, but I think in Europe he's probably more known than in the States. But he's there for the hype, you know.
There you go. That'd be fun to get all the Americans into that. Do you have a celebrity doppelganger, or people ever tell you look like somebody growing up?
Yeah, actually there was one guy that I got quite a lot. Actually, yeah, there's one guy on what was his name again? McConaughey? No, what was his? Oh God.
Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah, that's I don't know why, but I think it's also a thing where when I see someone and he reminds me of someone, I tell them, listen, like you look like this guy. It's like, no, not at all. And I feel the same with Matthew McConaughey. Where it's like, I don't really feel like looking like him, but I for sure had over 10 people DM me or telling me, hey, you look like this guy. And I'm like, all right.
You have the same nose. I see it. You have the same nose. If you just grew your hair out long and kind of did that look that he does,
just have the same cheeks, just look like him, just have the same hair, then you might look like him.
Listen, he's got a professional stylist, on the clock, around the clock. So it's not fair, but that's a great comparison. If anybody's comparing you to McConaughey,
I don't feel too bad about this comparison, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. What are you interested in that most people aren't?
In general, the whole how do you call it, like energy work, a bit more spiritual kind of things in the human bodies, I would say, like breath work, for example. I've also put a video on YouTube with Lucas Mack. That's also the guy that prepared Jake Paul for his fights. He's also working with him very closely. And I've been following his breathwork journey or his breathwork work for several years already. And then he said he had 3 slots for his one-on-one program. And I reached out to him and I was lucky to be chosen. And we started working on for several months together. And I'm very much interested in these kind of things.
Interesting. Are you superstitious at all?
No, I'm not superstitious.
Okay. What about any phobias?
I wouldn't say phobias, but I'm, when it comes to spiders and snakes, I love to have my distance.
Do you collect anything?
Books. But okay. I read them and then I'm collecting. Not really.
Okay. How many books do you have? Is it a big thing going, or?
I started reading books quite late. I don't know. By now, and I only read non-fictional books.
Same.
So I don't know, 60, 70, 80 books by now that I have on my shelf here.
There you go. Do you like telling people that you're a professional poker player?
No.
Do you keep it a secret?
No, just, it's after such a long time, you get the same questions asked over and over again, oh, can I give you $10? Can you make 1,000 out of it? And like, it's also sometimes even meant serious, it's like, or people ask you how much money you made, how much money you lose. And I find this not so, it's like people tell you what they do and, you won't do the same. I'm also not asking them, hey, how much money I make? And it's like where I see someone is not taking it serious, because if you take it serious and if you respect what someone does, you're not going to go ahead and ask a guy that you just met, hey, and how much money do you make, right? So it's like this kind of, gambler, okay, let's talk about money. How much do you win out? Like someone is like, it's the kind of like vibes that people give towards poker players in general. It's not just me. And I think it's for everyone. It's like, you just came from a casino, right? I played some blackjack. And how much money did you make?
Right.
And this is, I think, very disrespectful.
Have you had any near-death experiences?
No. No, sorry. Actually, that's wrong. I literally had a coin flip of surviving and dying when I was 5 years old. I swallowed a coin and I went to the hospital. I mean, that's like some people might say it's nothing, right? And then I got in the hospital and they said that I got very lucky because it could have easily went into the other side of the lung where the air goes through. No, sorry, it actually went through that, but it went down through the throat vertically, not horizontally. If it went down horizontally,
right,
it would have blocked the air and I would have died.
Right.
They said I got very lucky that it went the other way, so vertically, so I could still breathe and didn't choke on the coin that I swallowed.
A literal coin flip.
A literal coin flip, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What is your bold prediction for poker's future?
I think it keeps growing. I think live is gonna. It keeps exploding. I think live poker is becoming way more and more popular. I honestly, apart from that, I mean, it's gonna steadily grow. I have to disappoint you that I don't think I can make a bold prediction because there still is too many things that are going wrong to make a bold prediction.
Got it. All right, we end the podcast the same way every time, with a question from the random question generator. Here we go. Okay. As a child, what movie did you watch over and over again?
The boring answer would be Home Alone, but I'm going to give
boring? It's a great movie.
Yeah, I know, but I think I feel like everyone has seen it at least 10 times during their childhood.
Yeah, sure.
Bad Boys 2. I think back then
What?
I mean, yeah.
What kind of childhood?
I mean, I was like 12, 13, 14 years old.
Oh, okay.
So I was playing a lot of football. I was actually not watching a lot of movies when I was 7, 8, 9. We were out a lot, like just playing football. In the summer, we would be on the lake. Like I would just be out all the time.
Okay. That's not too bad then. Bad Boys 2 as a preteen. My daughter, when she was 3, I think we watched Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs maybe 400 times. So
okay.
That one is burned into my brain, so at least it wasn't like that. A much more reasonable amount of time. Ben, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing the stories.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
That's it. That is the show. Thank you once again to Ben. You can find him on Twitter at BenCB789 or watch him play on PokerStars with his Twitch channel or learn from him at RaiseYourEdge.com. You can also find us at Card Player Media and also at Poker_Stories. If you like the show, then please consider subscribing. And if you really like the show, let us know about it with a nice 5-star rating and review on whatever podcast platform you use. Then let us know you did so with an email to pokerstories@cardplayer.com and we'll hook you up with a free digital subscription to Card Player magazine. Thanks for listening.